This has easily got to be one of the hardest videos I've ever made. Not just because people are just gonna read the title and then get outraged at me, but it is kind of a racist observation to make that most mass shooters are white dudes. It's like Louis C.K. said, of course, it's racist to see what's in the media and then make blanket statements completely about a race, saying that all white boys are school shooters. Just like, of course, it's racist to find inner city crime statistics and then say that all black people steal. Of course. Of course. But maybe if you pretend like you don't see race, you're a fucking dork. How do you say dork and not sound dorky? You're a fucking dork. By the time I finish writing and editing this, there's a 37% chance that there's gonna be another mass shooting somewhere in America. We see it every week in the news, and we know shit's gonna change, so we all go, meh, what else is trending? Back in 2012, Sandy Hook happened maybe 20 minutes from my home. I came back from school and my mom told me that a bunch of first grade kids got shot in a classroom. I was like, wow. But what's for dinner? Chicken nuggets, sweetie pie. And then I ate the chicken nuggets and beat my 14-year-old meat. This was around the time when the white roast started changing. It used to be Nazi or slave owner, but then kids would see the white kid sitting alone at the lunch table and call him a school shooter. People were noticing a trend, and so was I. Now I'm not just fascinated, but I'm paranoid. Never would I ever have considered myself becoming a gun owner, and never would I think twice about going to a music festival, but the El Paso shooter drove 9 hours across state lines just to kill Hispanic people in a Walmart. Who knows, man? Yesterday, I spoke with Kyle Kashuv, a survivor of the infamous Parkland shooting that happened last year in Florida. If you don't remember, in the aftermath of the shooting, these high school kids decided to take matters into their own hands and start their own discussion about school safety because nothing was getting done. They were protesting and making a lot of noise, but Kyle caught the country's eye with his unique conservative viewpoint on the issue. Although you and I probably don't agree with a lot of what he says, he's been through hell and made it into something. And he's only 18. And now more than ever, I think it's crucial to have conversations with people who think differently. Yeah, but Nico, you had to do that interview, right?
Yeah, man. You can't
decline that interview, bro. You can't.
So on the phone, I'm on FaceTime with Kyle Kashuv. How do you say your last name? Kashuv? Kashuv?
Kashuv. Everyone gets it wrong.
I said it right the first time.
Kashuv. Yeah, man. Yeah, I was like, Sneeko gonna like reveal his last name? Is he?
No, people don't even know my first name.
Yeah, good. Keep it that way, dude, because like you don't want people searching through your old stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to get canceled or anything.
I mean,
wink. Yeah. But no, we have the great. I don't know about the great, but we have the very intelligent Kyle Kashuv here. I've seen him on the news. I think you're very well spoken.
Thanks, man.
Very outspoken during the aftermath of the Parkland shooting. While most people were anti-gun and lobbying for gun control, Kyle gained notoriety on the right for speaking for school safety on a different level.
Yeah, I think that there's stuff like holding the government accountable, making sure the schools are actually doing the reporting that they should.
I do think
guns in schools will help, but like I realize that like we have such a divisive split on this that it is better to focus on those solutions, and then we can have the gun debate to actually make sure kids are safe at school. But yo, did you have that entire intro scripted, or is that?
No, that was off the dome, right? That was pretty good. It sounded professional.
That was good.
It's my first interview too. Good. And if you don't mind me asking, I don't want to ignite any PTSD, but can you explain a little bit, like, what you're comfortable with, what went down that day? Like, what was the school shooting, what was it like? It's just for even my curiosity's sake. I've been kind of paranoid of something happening, not just in school, but at festivals, because these shootings, they transcend just schools. They've been at music festivals, garlic festivals, Walmarts, and ever since you see them more and more pop up in the news, I walk around and I'm a little bit paranoid. As someone who's experienced that, well, what can you tell us?
The teacher shoved us out in the classroom. I've never told this story before, but we're in the hallway, dude, right?
And then we're running outside.
So there was a fire alarm at like 2:30, and like we also had a fire alarm in the day before. So I didn't want to leave class. I was like, dude, just let me stay. I'll chill in the classroom. Just like let me be here. Like this isn't a big deal. I reach and try to grab the door handle.
And at the exact same time, my teacher,
like 3 other kids, takes the door and slams it shut, and it locks. So my teacher locked me out of my classroom, right? While there's a shooting going on. What I didn't know was actually that there was a shooting going on, because like there were outside speakers that should have played that didn't. So like we didn't know that it was a code.
If we had no idea what was
So
going
what did you think
on,
was happening when
so-
you heard those noises? What did you think was going on?
No clue. I genuinely thought that like 2 textbooks fell.
So what changed specifically at your school after everybody started protesting? What specific changes have been made?
Dude, so nothing, absolutely nothing, has changed at Stoneman Douglas.
But I'd like to get your take on what makes people school shooters. And not just school shooters, but mass shooters. There's more people submitting manifestos online. There's more people who seem vigilant in their reasonings for shooting. Why do you think people become shooters in the first place?
I think there are a bunch of different factors, but I think one of the biggest things that is glossed over is the role the media has to play with this. You know, every single time we see a shooting, we see massive coverage of the shooter's name and the shooter's face, right? They blast his name everywhere, they blast his face everywhere. Like these are losers who are mentally ill, and they're like, oh, I can do X, Y, and Z and be known forever. Oh, and they treat it like the shooter at our school made a video and said, you're all gonna die, you're all gonna know my face and name. And then Time Magazine posted that video to YouTube.
Got a couple million hits.
With the shooter's face, with everything that this guy wanted. And it got like millions of views. And it's like, you guys are making this problem even bigger.
And let me ask you a tougher question now, because I'm trying to get to the philosophy of this. Most of the school shooters, I don't know, like, we talked a little bit about this on the phone, but was the Parkland shooter, was he white?
Yeah.
So there's got to be a reason why, and I am generalizing, but most of these mass shooters, not just school shooters, are generally men, almost always men, and I would say 14 out of 15 times they're white. And I understand, I understand that there's a discrepancy in how many white people there are in America and how many minorities there are, but it's an unproportionate amount of white males. And yes, there is black on black crime in inner cities, and that contributes to a higher amount of the gun violence in this country. But when it comes to vigilant shooting, when it comes to mass shooting, school shootings, it's pretty much always white men.
The most amount of mass shootings are black on black gang violence in inner cities.
But specifically school shootings and mass shootings. Like, we know this. Like, I know there's going to be people who drop in crime statistics in the comments, but like this is something that's bothered me because I didn't want to speak on it for a while, but it seems like I'm not the only person who's noticed this, and there's got to be a reason.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you on that one. If that statistic is true, I don't know. I know it's like mostly males.
Is that even a question that we should bring up? Is that a sentiment that's worth discussing?
So why do you think? So let me bring it to you. Why do you think that like white people, if that's true, statistically true, are the people who are committing like the vast majority of mass shooting of school shootings?
It's tough, bro, because there's no way to talk about this without stereotyping, without being racist to some degree. But have you seen the movie Fight Club?
Gentlemen, welcome to Fight Club.
Some of my favorite films and television shows of the last 2 decades all feature very similar themes. American History X, Breaking Bad, Fight Club. The anti-hero became extremely popular in Hollywood writers' rooms ever since the late 90s. Every single movie that year was about a bored middle-class white dude working an office job who somehow gets to live out his wildest fantasy. A couple years later, Tony Soprano strangled a man to death in season 1 of the most critically acclaimed series of all time, proving that audiences would still pay attention to a leading man who's evil. The anti-hero started popping up on every network. Don Draper in Mad Men, Dexter in Dexter, and my personal all-time favorite show with Walter White in Breaking Bad, which stuck out to me because the entire premise of the show is based on one singular event: his own mortality. Once again, he's a bored middle-class white dude who never fulfilled his potential, but when realizing his time is limited, he finally becomes the monster that was living within. This idea has always been fascinating to me. The fact that on surface level, white American lives can look comfortable and easy, but beneath the surface, people are losing their fucking minds. Maybe this is why they decide that shooting up a Walmart is an opportunity. Maybe this comfortable white American life is so manufactured and predictable, it's created a desire to act out. Maybe when you feel alone and worthless, and it's like the world doesn't even see you, the only way out is to show everyone that you're the anti-hero.
mental health issues are skyrocketing. We're seeing suicide rates by both men and females, specifically in young generations, skyrocketing. And we're all too busy blaming guns because it's easier to do that than actually address the mental health, the government incompetence issues, the media issues that we should.
I'll leave it at that. I mean, I gotta say, you're very well spoken. We don't see eye to eye. We don't see eye to eye on everything. I mean, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Trump, as people know, but I think you do have a bright future ahead of you.
Dude, I think we need more people like you providing real, genuine content that isn't filtered, that is authentic and organic, dude. And I think we need more of that. Because, like, YouTube is now moving towards, like, the mainstream, generic, kids' toy unboxing stuff that isn't actually intelligent, that is just pushed out, factory process made.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just glad to see a young man as yourself putting himself out there, sticking to his guns, even though people don't agree with you. Even though I don't agree with your politics, I'm glad to see that you're out here standing up for what you believe in. Like, that I commend more than anything. I think that that's very commendable, and people can look up to that. I wish you the best. Thanks for coming on the Sneeko Show, and yeah.
Oh, it's the Sneeko Show now. Damn.
No, I just said that, but I don't know. That's not a thing. I just said that because it sounded right.
The Sneeko Experience.
That sounds awful. That sounds like a sex position.
That sounds bad. Yeah,
That does sound bad. Yeah.
The Sneeko.
The Sneeko Experience. Yo, is the Sneeko Experience just like taking a lot of LSD and then making a YouTube video about it?
Oh, that's just a normal Tuesday night, yo.
All right.